The light before the fall, there was a time when the name Aatrox was spoken not in fear, but in reverence. Long before blood soaked the sands of Shurima, before the word Darkin carried the weight of horror, Aatrox stood as one of the Sunborn, ascended warriors, shaped by divine ritual and celestial design. He was not born a god. He was made one. Under the blazing sun disk of Shurima, mortals were reforged into living weapons, avatars of empire, justice, and absolute order. Their bodies were transformed, their souls bound to cosmic ideals. Aatrox was among the greatest of them. Golden wings once unfurled from his back, radiant and terrible. His armor shone like dawn itself, and his blade was not merely steel, but a symbol of authority and finality. Where he marched, wars ended. Where he stood, rebellion broke. To the people of Shurima, he was salvation. To its enemies, extinction given form. And to himself, he was purpose incarnate. The war that broke the gods, that purpose shattered when Icathia rebelled, desperate and defiant. The city-state tore open reality itself, unleashing the void upon the world. The Ascended were sent to contain it. What they found was not an enemy that could be slain. The void did not scream. It did not rage. It erased. Creatures without logic or mercy poured forth, abominations that devoured flesh, memory and meaning alike. The Sunborn fought. They sealed the rifts. They prevailed. But victory came at a cost no ritual had prepared them for. The horrors of the void etched themselves into their minds. The silence between battles became unbearable. Sleep brought visions that never faded, and when they returned, the world they had defended was already dying. The fall of Shurima Azir was gone. Betrayed by Zereth, the empire collapsed in fire and dust. The sun disk fell silent. The throne stood empty. The Ascended, once generals of a divine order, were left without command, without faith, without meaning, immortal. One aging, unneeded. Centuries passed, the world moved on, and the gods did not. Isolation turned to resentment, resentment to rivalry, rivalry to war. They turned upon one another, not out of hatred at first, but out of desperation, to feel something again. The birth of the Darkin in their madness. The Ascended sought power beyond the sun. They mastered forbidden arts, blood magic, flesh shaping, primal sorcery that bent form to will. They reforged themselves, twisting their divine bodies into monstrous reflections of their inner torment. What they became was no longer Ascended. Mortals gave them a new name, Darkin, a corruption of an ancient Shuriman word, the Fallen. Among them all, Aatrox was supreme, not merely in strength, but in will. He still believed in war, in conquest, in ending conflict through annihilation. Where others indulged in cruelty or excess, Aatrox remained a general, and generals make enemies. The judgment of Targon, the Darkin Wars, threatened to unmake the world itself. Cities burned, civilizations vanished, history was reduced to ash and rumor. At last, the Celestials of Mount Targon intervened, not with open war, but with deception, the aspect of twilight. Maisha, devised a final solution, a prison more cruel than death. Through manipulation and betrayal, the Darkin were lured into a trap. Mortals were armed with celestial magic they barely understood, and one by one, the fallen gods were sealed within their own weapons. When the spell claimed Aatrox, he resisted with everything that remained of his divinity. It did not matter. A force greater than 1,000 dead suns dragged him inward, into the blade, the eternal cage. There was no sleep, no darkness, only awareness. Aatrox could not breathe, yet he suffocated. Could not scream, yet felt his throat tear itself apart in silence. Time lost meaning. Centuries passed like moments. Moments stretched into eternities. He later described it as an emptiness in my lungs and throat, a constant choking in endless dark. The sword became his coffin, and consciousness his punishment. He was not dead, and that was the cruelty, the mockery of flesh. When the seal finally weakened, when the blade tasted blood once more, Aatrox awoke, not into freedom, but into flesh. The first body he claimed was mortal, fragile, trembling, incomplete. He stretched within it, forcing bone to grow, muscle to tear and reform, warping the stolen frame to resemble the god he once was. And yet, it was never enough, no matter how many hosts he consumed, no matter how much blood soaked the ground. The vessel always failed him. His true form was too vast, too absolute. Mortal flesh could only imitate divinity, a grotesque mockery of golden wings and sun-forged might. Each rebirth brought agony. Each transformation reminded him of what he had lost. And with that realization, something within Aatrox finally broke. The truth of immortality Aatrox understood. The ultimate cruelty of his existence. He could be shattered, banished, imprisoned, but never ended. Death, the one mercy granted to all things, had been denied to him. The blade ensured it. As long as existence endured, so would his torment. And so his purpose shifted, not from conquest, but from domination to annihilation. If the world would not grant him rest, he would erase the world instead. Not out of malice, not out of madness, but out of necessity. The World Ender's creed, Aatrox no longer sought worship, he sought extinction. Every war was a step closer to silence. Every fallen kingdom, another fracture in reality itself. He believed, truly believed, that only when the last light died would the blade finally fall quiet to mortals. He became an omen, a walking apocalypse. To himself, he was a prisoner, tearing down the walls of his own cell. Brothers in damnation, Aatrox was not alone in his suffering. Others of his kind endured the same fate, sealed within weapons, bound to hosts, cursed with awareness. To them, Aatrox was not merely a peer. He was a general once more. Rast, the defiant blade, Rast reveled in slaughter, where Aatrox was grim and purposeful. Rast was cruel, mocking, almost joyful. They called each other brother. Yet Aatrox held little respect for him. Rast remained trapped in conflict with his host, unable to fully dominate the mortal called Cain. To Aatrox, this was weakness. Power once taken, should never be shared. Varys, the divided arrow Varys, disgusted him in a different way, not for lack of strength, but for lack of focus. Bound to two souls, clinging to memories of love and loss, Varys still cared for something other than the end. Aatrox mocked him openly, not even bothering to hide his contempt. What place did sentiment had in a universe that needed to die, the memory of a mortal king? There was one mortal, however, whose existence lingered in Aatrox's thoughts. Tryndamere, long before the Darkin Wars ended. Aatrox had raised the barbarian king's tribe. He struck the young warrior down, a killing blow, meant to end another insignificant life, but death refused. Rage consumed the mortal, filling the void where his life should have ended. In that moment, Aatrox saw potential, not a victim, a creation. Tryndamere, he once declared, my greatest creation. The barbarian's undying fury was not a blessing. It was a scar left by Aatrox's hand. A reminder that even mortals could be broken into weapons. War without end. Wherever Aatrox walked, the world bled. Empires rose to challenge him and fell screaming. He did not conquer to rule. He conquered to erase. Cities were not trophies. They were obstacles. Each battle was fought with apocalyptic certainty, as though the universe itself stood accused. And yet, still the world endured. The final despair, this was Aatrox's deepest torment. Not defeat, not resistance, but survival. No matter how much he destroyed, existence continued to crawl forward. And with every failed apocalypse, his hatred sharpened, not toward mortals, not toward gods, but toward creation itself. Aatrox does not hate life because it lives. He hates it because it refuses to end. The cage and the dream of oblivion. There is a story whispered among scholars of Runeterra. Not a legend meant to inspire, but a confession torn directly from the mind of a god who can no longer sleep. They call it the cage, and within it, Aatrox speaks. The nature of the prison to be sealed within the blade was not simply confinement. It was existence without sensation. No sight, no sound, no touch. Yet awareness endured. Aatrox could think, could remember, could suffer. He felt himself breathing, though no air entered his lungs. He felt his heart straining, though no blood flowed. An eternal reflex, mocking the life he no longer possessed. Time lost all structure. Minutes stretched into centuries. Centuries collapsed into moments. The only constant was the knowledge that he still was, and that he could not stop being. Consciousness as torture for mortals. Pain has limits. It exhausts the body. It breaks the mind. But Aatrox had neither escape. He could not faint. He could not forget. He was forced to replay memories of golden wings, of sunlight reflecting off Shuriman's stone, of a purpose that once felt absolute. And then nothing. An endless contrast between what he was and what he had become. This was not punishment. It was annihilation delayed, the void within the blade. Some who study Aatrox believe that his proximity to the void during the God-Warrior War left an echo within his mind. Not corruption, but understanding. The void seeks not conquest, not domination. It seeks absence. And in that absence, Aatrox saw peace, not peace as mortals define it, but the stillness that comes when nothing remains to suffer. In the darkness of the blade, that philosophy took root, the moment of release, when blood finally touched the sword again, when a mortal grasped the hilt. Aatrox surged forward with desperate violence. Possession was not gentle, it was invasion. He tore into the host's mind, overwriting will, memory, identity. The body screamed. Aatrox did not care. Freedom, even imperfect, was still freedom. But each release came with a realization, more bitter than the last. The world outside had changed, and he had not. The mockery of rebirth, every resurrection reminded him of his limits. No matter how many bodies he devoured, his form remained unstable. Wings of flesh instead of light, armor of sinew instead of sun forged gold. The blade anchored him. The prison followed. He was never truly free, only briefly unleashed. And so, Aatrox turned his gaze outward. If the cage could not be destroyed, then perhaps everything else could. The philosophy of oblivion. Aatrox does not seek chaos. He seeks finality. To him, existence itself is a mistake, an endless cycle of creation and decay that serves no purpose built, except to perpetuate suffering. Gods lie mortals' hope, but both persist, and persistence to Aatrox is cruelty. Only oblivion is honest. Only nothingness keeps its promises. Solani, the betrayer of honor, among all his enemies, one stands apart. Solani, once ascended, once a healer, she mastered blood magic, not as a weapon, but as a means of control. She bent others to her will, erased their choices, turned lives into puppets. To Aatrox, this was the ultimate betrayal. War demands strength, conquest demands resolve, but domination of the mind. That was cowardice. Solani represented everything Aatrox despised: power without honor, control without confrontation. Their conflict was inevitable. A war beyond gods, in legends told through fractured visions. Solani ascended once more, absorbing the aspect of justice itself. She became something beyond Darkin, beyond ascended, a being capable of rivaling Aatrox's raw force. Their clash threatened reality. Even Rise, guardian of the world ruins, considered using the most dangerous artifacts in existence to stop them both, not to save the world, but to prevent its premature end. Why Aatrox must be stopped. Aatrox is not evil in the way mortals understand. He does not delight in suffering. He is simply finished with existence. To allow him victory would be to grant him mercy, and mercy the world cannot afford. The eternal tragedy. Aatrox was once the light of 1,000 suns. Now, he stands as their executioner. He does not ask to be forgiven. He does not ask to be understood. He only waits for a world finally broken enough to collapse into the silence he craves. The last Darkin. Time has a way of erasing gods. Empires fall, names fade, myths become footnotes. But Aatrox endures, not because he is remembered, but because he cannot be forgotten. A world that moves on Runeterra has changed. Civilizations rise without knowing his name. Weapons are forged without understanding their origins. Mortals speak of progress, of invention, of hope. And yet, buried beneath every age, the scars remain. The Darkin were never truly defeated. They were postponed. The last of the old war, where others adapted, Aatrox remained absolute. New Darkin emerged, some seeking unity, some seeking control, some even clinging to fragments of sanity. But Aatrox rejected all compromise. To him, survival was not victory. Existence itself was the enemy. He did not wish to rule the world. He wished to end the war by ending everything. This is why he stands apart, not as a king, not as a tyrant, but as a sentence. Why Aatrox cannot change, many have asked. Why Aatrox does not choose another path? Why not redemption? Why not silence through acceptance? The answer is simple. He remembers too much. He remembers golden wings, sunlit banners, a world that believed in order, and every memory is a wound. To live on is to relive that loss, again and again and again. For Aatrox, hope is not strength, it is cruelty. The tragic paradox, Aatrox seeks the end of all things, yet he himself cannot end. This is the irony that defines him. If he succeeds, he dies with the world. If he fails, he suffers forever. There is no victory, only different shapes of damnation. God monster or martyr. Is Aatrox evil? Or is he simply the final consequence of a world that weaponized divinity and discarded it when it became inconvenient? The Ascended were created to serve. When their purpose vanished, so did their place in existence. Aatrox is what happens when a god is denied death, but forced to remember life. The silence he seeks in his darkest moments. Aatrox does not rage, he listens. For the quiet that never comes, the stillness beyond stars, beyond time, beyond thought, a peace where no blade exists to imprison him, where no flesh betrays him, where no memory burns, only absence, only rest. The world ender's legacy, whether he stands as a champion on the battlefield or as a whispered horror in forgotten texts, Aatrox remains Runeterra's greatest tragedy, not because he destroys, but because he must. He is the echo of a broken empire, the voice of gods who were never allowed to die. And until the world ends, he will keep trying to end it. Final words once. Aatrox was the light of 1,000 suns. Now, he waits for the dark that will finally answer him.